Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the first lifestyle video brought to you by the duo behind Work in Progress. I am Angela, and I want to take you along with me as I travel internationally from California, US to Taiwan. Before I keep going, I wanted to clarify that this trip was necessary due to an unfortunate family medical emergency. But I figure somebody out there probably has to travel for some reason, and if you're curious about that process, here's what it looks like during COVID. In order to enter the border of Taiwan, there are definitely different and very strict regulations this time around. On the outside of the airport where you could drop off your luggage, you probably can tell that this is traveling during a pandemic time because there's not a huge difference. You can tell though by the number of cars parked outside because normally at the airport that I typically travel out of or fly out of, San Francisco airport, usually there's a long line of cars trying to get to a parking spot to temporarily unload the passenger and their luggage. On the night when I traveled, there were no cars and probably one or two cars that were also parked and waiting to drop people off. As you walk in there, you can probably see somewhere between 20 to 30% of the travel traffic, I guess. And I would say compared to the normal amount of people traveling internationally at this time of the year, it's definitely a lot lower. Once you're boarded onto the plane, the flight I took and I was on flying out of San Francisco was only, I think, at the very most 30% occupied. So every passenger was able to have at least 2 to 3 seats empty in between each other. And for that alone, I felt pretty safe. And I would say probably at least 90% of the people flying, as well as crew member, wore a mask at all times throughout the entire 13 hours of flying from San Francisco to Taipei. And for that alone, I also felt very safe. The on-flight entertainment did not have any changes. However, your typical kind of every few hours of people bringing you snacks and asking if you want to drink water, that frequency was definitely a lot less frequent, and there were no snacks given except for one time, I think, little packaged crackers were given to the passengers that wanted snacks and some bottled water. But I think one of the things I really struggled with was booking and finding a quarantine hotel that I thought was reasonably priced and also something that I wouldn't go crazy in, because there is this 14-day mandatory requirement for anybody entering Taiwan right now. And the specific rule is that if you are living with somebody who is older than 65 years old, then you cannot quarantine at home. And therefore, there are a lot of the so-called quarantine hotels that are available for booking. But because the time that I'm traveling, or I was traveling, is very close to Chinese New Year, and a lot of these hotels were actually already booked. So I want to take you with me as I find a hotel and also show you what that looks like.